For centuries, the most powerful weapon at sea was the biggest gun on the biggest ship. Steel ruled the oceans, and whoever had the heaviest cannons controlled the world. Then, almost overnight, that truth sank beneath the waves. Without warning, a new kind of ship turned the sky into a weapon, erased old empires, and changed naval warfare forever. This is the story of how aircraft carriers ended an era and built the modern world at sea. Before the Second World War, naval power was measured in armor, thickness, and gun caliber. Battleships were floating fortresses, symbols of national pride and industrial might. Nations believed that whoever possessed the largest battleship fleet would dominate the oceans. For decades, naval doctrine revolved around decisive surface battles, where giant ships would meet face to face and settle wars with thunderous broadsides. But beneath this confidence, a quiet technological shift was already underway, one that would soon render those beliefs obsolete. Aircraft carriers began as experimental platforms, often viewed as support vessels rather than decisive weapons. Early naval leaders struggled to imagine airplanes replacing cannons as the primary tools of sea power. Yet the logic was unavoidable. Aircraft could strike far beyond the horizon, hit targets with speed and precision, and retreat before the enemy could respond. What the aircraft carrier offered was not just firepower, but reached the ability to project force across vast distances without ever seeing the enemy fleet. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 shattered the old naval order in a single morning. Battleships burned in the harbor, sunk or crippled by aircraft launched hundreds of miles away from unseen carriers. Ironically, the most important American ships, its aircraft carriers, were not present that day and survived untouched. In the ashes of Pearl Harbor, a new truth emerged. The future of naval warfare no longer floated on heavy guns, but flew on wings. The United States responded with an industrial and strategic transformation unlike anything the world had seen. Shipyards expanded at astonishing speed, producing a new generation of aircraft carriers designed for global war. The Essex-class carriers became the backbone of American naval power. Massive floating airfields capable of carrying dozens of aircraft, thousands of crew members, and complex systems of radar, communication, and defense. Each carrier was no longer just a ship, but a self-contained war machine. In the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, warfare became a battle of distance and intelligence rather than direct confrontation. Aircraft carrier task forces hunted one another across thousands of miles of open water. Battles like the Battle of Midway marked a turning point in history. The opposing fleets never exchanged gunfire. Victory was decided entirely by aircraft, radar detection, and intelligence. In a matter of hours, American carrier-based planes destroyed for Japanese carriers, permanently shifting the balance of power in the Pacific. It was undeniable proof that naval warfare had entered a new dimension. Carriers transformed the ocean into a three-dimensional battlefield. Fighter aircraft defended the fleet, intercepting enemy attacks before they could reach striking distance. Dive bombers and torpedo planes became precision weapons against enemy ships. Reconnaissance aircraft extended vision far beyond the horizon, allowing commanders to strike first and disappear before retaliation was possible. Radar technology gave fleets the ability to see through darkness, clouds, and distance, turning surprise into strategy. Yet the aircraft carrier's true strength depended on something less visible: logistics. These ships consumed enormous amounts of fuel, ammunition, spare parts, and food. To keep them fighting, the United States developed an unprecedented system of underway replenishment, allowing carriers to refuel and rearm without returning to port. This logistical mastery allowed American naval forces to advance steadily across the Pacific, island by island, never losing momentum. The war at sea became not just a test of weapons, but of endurance and industrial capacity. In the Atlantic Ocean, aircraft carriers played a quieter but equally vital role. German U-boats threatened to sever the supply lines between North America and Europe. Escort carriers, smaller and more numerous, provided air cover for convoys, launching patrol aircraft to hunt submarines. Combined with sonar, radar, and improved coordination, carrier-based aviation helped turn the tide of the Battle of the Atlantic. Once again, air power determined control of the sea. By the final years of the war, the dominance of the aircraft carrier was undeniable. Battleships that survived were relegated to supporting roles, bombarding shore targets or providing anti-aircraft defense. The center of naval strategy now revolved entirely around carriers and the aircraft they launched. When the war ended in 1945, the era of the battleship had effectively ended as well. The legacy of World War II aircraft carriers extends far beyond that conflict. Modern naval power is still built around the same principles proven during the war: mobility, air superiority, information dominance, and logistics. Today's nuclear-powered supercarriers are direct descendants of the lessons learned in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans more than 70 years ago. Aircraft carriers did more than win battles. They rewrote the rules of warfare itself. They proved that dominance no longer depended on the heaviest armor, but on the ability to strike first, see farther, and adapt faster. In the silent wake of those massive ships, an old world sank, and a new one rose from the sea. Thank you for watching. If you found this story fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more chapters from history.